Jessica's here. And I don't see your face, but where are you? Where are you, Jessica? Oh, there you are. So welcome everybody. I'm Patty. You probably know who I am. Some of you are new to me. Some of you I know very well. And like I said, I'm super excited we're all here together. We represent many time zones. We're spread out all across the world, but we are getting together because of our connection on LinkedIn. And some of you know this. About a year ago, I started posting on LinkedIn pretty consistently. I put myself out there and I'm like, I'm going to see what happens here. So some of you have been following me for a long time. Maybe Kevin, I don't know who the oldest person is in terms of like following me, but some of you I'm just meeting for the first time, but welcome, welcome. I'm starting this, what I hope to be monthly Agile Roundtable discussion, where we can get together, share experiences, talk about the hard things that we are dealing with as Agilists, and help each other out. So whether you're like totally brand new or you've been doing this forever, we can share perspectives and help each other wherever we are on this journey. So how this is going to go is like, I'm going to frame up the discussion. I said no slide deck, but I have a few slides, right? Just some prompts. I'm a visual person. So I know there are some folks out there that are visual too, but I will give you a question, a very broad question, and then I will put you into breakout rooms. And then it's up to you to self-organize to figure out the answer to the question. We'll come back, we'll kind of decompress as a group. I'm hoping we have time to do number two for breakout rooms. But yeah, then I'll send out the recording, send you the next invite. You show up if it's applicable to you, if you've had a good time. And I welcome feedback for the continuous improvement of whatever this thing is going to turn into. So there we are. Anything before we start? I just talked a lot. No. Okay. Well, let me share my screen. Oh, hey, Donna.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
I can.
Awesome. Sorry about that.
Right, I said no slide deck, but here are some slides, and let me see if I can get that situated. Give me 1 second. All right, take two. Slide, share. Okay, let's go back to the beginning. Okay, so here are our goals for today. Let me see if I can get this bigger so people can see. So I kind of framed this up in the invitation. So we'll discuss why people talk the Agile talk and don't walk the walk. And you're all nodding. You all signed up for this. So I would guess you know what I'm talking about here. Then we'll talk about what gets in people's way of becoming Agile. What are those impediments and roadblocks? And then in the end, gain something to help you take another step in your agility journey. So wherever you are, what can you take away from our conversation today to get you moving past that impediment that you may have? So some things to consider here. And I'm going to bring up something you said to me the other day, meeting people where they are. So we're coming from all sorts of walks of life, all sorts of, I'm trying to admit people and talk at the same time. I guess I'll have to wait. I'll just have to wait. We're coming from all places, all different levels of experience. You know, if you find that you want to talk a lot, maybe step back, ask questions, listen, give somebody else the opportunity to raise their hand right? And if you're that person that's afraid of raising their hand, like, I don't want to press like the little microphone and open my mouth, do it. Take the risk. We're in a safe space today. Know that the people that are sitting in that room with you will support you, will ask you questions to kind of, deepen your thought. And they will say, okay, I know there's some new folks here. We're all on this journey together. Let's figure this out together. Meet people where they are. So with that being said, your mission as a group, and of course, right, my little reveals don't work. All right, so you're going to go into these small breakout rooms. Say what your name is, where you're from, and one interesting thing about you. Avoid, the company you work for, your job title, your years of experience, like take that stuff off the table. We're all Agilists here, right? We're all trying to improve. Here's your question, very broad. Why is there so much lip service when it comes to Agile and agility? And then as a group, do a root cause analysis. So we call this the 5 whys. And some of you may be familiar with this. So answer that first question as a group. Then ask a deeper question. Well, why is that the answer? Right? And keep going with your whys until you can't ask why anymore. Right? You feel like you found the answer. I'm going to ask that one person facilitates this conversation to keep it moving and make sure that everybody has an opportunity to speak. We'll come back. One person will report to the group what their final conclusion is, and we'll see what everybody came up with. Right? So if you need to grab a piece of paper and write that down, right? Because the slide's about to disappear on you. Take a moment, take some notes. I'm going to set up the breakout room and we'll get everybody going. And you have about 15 minutes. And if I move this darn thing, there we go. Admit. Anywho, well, let's do our share out and then we'll make a decision. Do we want to continue with that conversation, or what's behind door number 2? I'll show you the slide and then we could just do, I don't know, a vote, hands up or something. All right, so who wants to go first? Hopefully you picked a team captain and you're prepared to share out your why. So why is there so much lip service around agility?
I'll go first just because I'm going to have to go on mute unexpectedly soon because my dogs are going to go nuts. So just get it out of the way. So we kind of had the same logic around our whys, mostly around a lack of education, a lack of coaching. And the whys behind that really, we're all very similar in terms of people are afraid of change. There's also a lack of, psychological safety when it comes to taking the risk to change, for fear of being seen as not the smartest person in the room anymore, or not having the knowledge, not being the go-to person. So there's a fear of sharing that information, sharing that knowledge. Also around not understanding the concepts of Agile. So people will throw the buzzwords around a lot, but they won't necessarily understand the practice behind the theory, because they don't get to participate in Agile usually at that level. Usually Agile is a very, trench level participation, and the roles for Agile have changed from waterfall models. So people don't know their new role in this new world either. So a lot of it was just really that lack of education, the lack of knowledge, and then the lack of coaching that also follows through with that. Ladies that were in there, please add anything if I forgot something.
No, I think you pretty much nailed it.
Right. Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you, Danny. All right, who is next? And let's see if we can do what was your final conclusion?
So ours actually was kind of similar, in that in basically, in theory, Agile makes a lot of sense, but the thing that you get with waterfall that you don't get with Agile is consistency, and people like consistency. So it's kind of the when you're getting inconsistent, you know. John, help me out here. You had a great example, and I did not get that.
You did good. You did really good. But I when I was in my first role, it was an agile environment, and this is before I even knew what agile was. I was a developer, so I had my focus was not concerned with, hey, we're in a room and we're answering these random questions and we're throwing balls at one another. I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. I just need to focus on development. But what I realized now that I'm looking at that environment in the past with having a lot more understanding of Agile is it was very inconsistent. And what happened is you never saw the rewards of Agile because it was like, hey, we're going to do daily Scrum maybe Monday, and then next week it will be Tuesday and Wednesday. And then sometimes you'd have product backlog and refinement. Sometimes you wouldn't. And so it was very inconsistent. So you just didn't seem to reap the rewards of being agile and not even having a Scrum Master at that point. Right when I was leaving, give or take within 8 months for the contract, we were hiring a Scrum Master. So I didn't see if things changed or not, but
Yeah.
I think consistency was huge.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Third group.
Okay, so I can go for the third group if you like. We talked about this. We didn't 5Y everyone's contributions. We just didn't have enough time. But essentially, some of the reasons why there's so much lip service when it comes to agility and agile. And I noticed, Patty, in your prompt, you had agile with an uppercase A and agility with a lowercase a.
Yep.
But some of the things we discussed are maybe it's a fad. We don't know. These things happen, right? With the passing of time, this too shall pass. We don't know. The other thing is there are too many purveyors out there expounding different things when they talk about agile. Perhaps from an organizational perspective, the imperative to become agile as opposed to doing agile is not fully understood everywhere. And there are so many organizations that are on the RIP list now. They were there, now they're gone. The other thing we talked about is it's not easy to become agile, right? However, these purveyors give easy answers. So they give you, here's the easy win, and then they're gone, right? And they leave you holding the bag. It forces you to have uncomfortable conversations. Being asked to change, people are reluctant to change, and that's just true no matter what you're doing. So it's no different here. Also, there tends to be this tyranny of perfectionism. Are we there yet? Right? And a fixed mindset rather than a growth mindset. So those are some of the things that we talked about. And anyone from my team, feel free to pitch in if I missed anything.
That was great. All right. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Team number 4, you're up.
So a couple of things. One, people covered most everything. We talked about being vulnerable. It's not easy. Working together as a team, it's hard. I mean, it takes some work. And then not being in an agile environment, a lot of times teams are agile, but that organizational agility hasn't moved up. And so leadership doesn't want to let go of the power and let the teams do it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Kevin. All right. Number 5.
I think we were number 5. I'm going to go ahead and speak for our group. A lot of the same things were said, so I'm going to skip to the end. And what we came to the conclusion is there's a wicked question between doing agile and being agile. And can you be agile without doing agile? Can you do agile without being agile? And we've talked about some different scenarios with that. And it was either Joe or Jean-Marc, one of the two, had a great analogy of riding a bike, that you can read about riding a bike all day long. You can talk about the steering and the gears and everything, but until you actually get on that bike and you start riding, you're going to fall. You're never going to ride a bike. So that's where we ended up with, Patty.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you, Rich. And I think we have 6 groups. So it's group number 6, whoever didn't go yet. Or am I mistaken? Was that like?
So technically we were group number 6, but
Okay.
of course, you know, we went early.
Which group did not go? Let's put it that way.
I think in room 1, that might have been us.
Okay. Go for it.
Since I'm here. So we didn't come to a definitive conclusion. We also didn't get stuck in the do and be conundrum, which I'm quite happy about. We mentioned that it's easy to live out of a book, but reality is different and hard. That changes a lot. It's quite easy to fall into laziness, that being agile and changing your mindset and your behaviors is difficult, but doing agile out of the book is easy. Leadership, very reluctant to relinquish the control and trust. We were talking about the team of engineers signing a $3 million check. Well, it's always the execs doing that, not the people on the ground. And project managers getting turned into scrum masters without any idea of what a scrum master is, and then falling back on the old ways.
Yeah.
Something else I thought about actually while we were coming back was contractual. I've got an operations background. We weren't allowed to be agile, to work agile, because we had contractual SLAs to hit. So you might find there's an external force there as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, these are all, I mean, it sounds like you all are saying a lot of the same things. We all have a lot of the same experiences. Even though we work at different companies, we live in different parts of the States or in some other country on the other side of the world, we're all struggling with the same exact things. So for breakout room number 2, let me share my screen. We have about 20 minutes left here. I want you all to try to help each other with some of the problems that you're facing. Let me see if I can share this. Where did my PowerPoint go? So you might see the word anti-pattern around a lot. And Oliver, you brought this word up to me in our LinkedIn message. So I'm like, yeah, let's throw this one in here. It might be a buzzword, but it's kind of in its simplest forms, when something looks like a solution, but it's actually counterproductive. So you're actually making things worse, possibly. So this was the mission that I came up with. Whiteboard, or I mean, if you don't know how to use the whiteboard, totally cool, use some paper. List some anti-patterns to developing agility. Things that you've seen, things that you've experienced. And then each person, and right, this requires the vulnerability, Kevin. Which of these things do you personally struggle with? Put a name to it. Maybe this is the first time you put a name to it. And then use the resources, the other people that are sitting in this room, to give you ideas, tips, videos, whatever the heck it may be, right? We're full of knowledge here. How can you help this person overcome that anti-pattern that they're struggling with? How does that sound?
I think door number 2 looks good.
Door number 2 looks
Okay.
great. Kevin, that is music to my ears. So let me.
You win 20 goats.
Who remembers that show, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, where's my little thingamabobber that I could send you back into the breakout rooms? Give me a second. Okay, so let's send you back into the breakout rooms. Everybody got their assignment? Go for it, figure it out. We'll come back and see what our takeaways are. And the goal is get some solutions to the things you're struggling with, right? That's the bottom line here. All right, so go. All right, well, people are smiling, so that's a good sign.
Patty, we made the comment as everybody is coming in that thank you so much for putting this together. There was so much great.
Yes.
Oh,
Awesome, Patty. Thank you.
I agree. This has been great. Thanks.
oh, thank you so much. Thank you for that feedback. Yeah, I know we have there's like an echo. Wow. Okay. Can everybody just turn on? Okay, good. Turn off the mic. So let's just do a quick roundtable, right? If one person from every group again wants to talk, and then we can take a few minutes to kind of retro very quickly, because I know we're at the top of the hour here. Feedback, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So who would like to go first?
Me.
Awesome.
I'll make it fast. So some of the things we talked about are things like, having duplication of data that's stored in multiple places, task duplication, and some of the tips we came up with that are expressing in business value terms the benefits of consolidating data and promoting electronic efficiency. The other anti-pattern we talked about is PO backlog has specific items, but the team works on other things anyway. At the same time, while I'm in the code, I may as well type of mentality. And the PO should really make sure that teams understand the priority and the priority order and the backlog. The notion of MVP, doing just enough, make sure that people know that doing Agile doesn't mean the iron triangle goes away. It's still there, but they can have something before the deadlines so they can see it taking shape in front of their eyes. Another one was defining tasks on the board as opposed to getting things done and making sure you're doing the most important things. And the tip there was to perhaps draw a horizontal line and put things below the line that absolutely do not need to be done. Wishes, desires, all of those things can move away. And over time, you can focus on just the core need items. Lastly, we talked about the team's focus on credit and the need for that, and how we should never look at vanity metrics, rather focus on business value. And that brings us to a close right there. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. I know some folks need to drop, so let's, just keep it going. Maybe give us like the one big takeaway from your group. So who would like to go next?
I can go.
Sure.
Hi. So yeah, I'll try to make it quick. We talked about over communication when people are, well, there's too much of communication, but it's actually not really helping. And then sometimes developers are stretched too thin. They're being, being pulled into backlog refinements, but also that means their time is taken away from coding. And then about data, like how data is not being used, instead of using data to inform decision, that's really not being done over there. So that's some of the highlights over there. And as far as suggestions, we talked about how coaching and education is important, and coach the team in whatever way we can. And a couple of other things is use the retrospective. That's one way that we can use to have people come up and talk about what's not working, and it's also a venue to brainstorm with the rest of the team. And similarly, a scrum of scrums if you're in a scaled agile environment.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Next group. Yeah, Leah, absolutely. I always post about that on LinkedIn, which I'm sure you folks have all seen. Anyway, next group.
I'll go next, Patty. Yeah, I'll jump in next, and I can cover these two in a minute. So one of our topics was leadership buy-in, and the notion of Agile's the path, this is where we're going, but we're going to tell you exactly how, where, when, where to jump, what your status report looks like. Notice I said status report, all of those things. So anti-pattern there, what we need is engagement, better transparency, better support of the mission, and empowering teams. So Jean-Marc had a great comment there. Riley mentions it's not just picking it up as we go along, and knowledge transfer and having a plan for knowledge transfer versus, hey, you'll just figure it out. Wrong move. And then lastly, we talked on work scope and huge increasing work scope, but yet, hey, Scrum Master, you can take on 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever they want to throw. So it's hard to be agile, hard to say the word, when you've got all that going on. So those are our thoughts, Patty.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Who's up next?
Go on, I will if the mic will work. So we talked about velocity quite a lot, how a perception of low velocity becomes over management, which becomes low velocity, and the cycle continues. And we talked about, off the back of that, weaponizing metrics. The problem between an estimate and a promise.
Yeah.
Awesome. Any suggestions for, yes, metrics? That's a whole nother topic, right? Tom, did your group come up with anything like a suggestion for improvement? Throw something out there.
One really good one from John said, why don't we rename velocity metrics and call them dog breeds? So we're going to deliver 2 Dobermans and a Schnauzer. Weaponize that.
Right. All right. Well, thank you, Tom. Who do we got left here?
Oh, in our breakout room, I was the one who was doing the yakking. So the first thing was people abused the daily scrum as a status meeting. And the second thing is retrospectives turn into a therapy session rather than, finding ways to
is everybody getting an issue? Okay.
Used as a
of course, we can't tell him.
He's doing so good.
Mechanism. And the third thing was the value.
He's got a career in Vegas.
Oh, sound is choppy for you.
Maybe shut off your video.
Yeah.
We've all experienced this, right?
Canada, we only get dialect.
Yeah.
So, how about now? Is it okay?
It's better.
Much better.
It's
Yeah.
better.
Is it better? Or am I still sounding like
I was about
Chaka?
Rajesh, I was going to say, you put Jeff Dunham to shame. Your mouth wasn't moving.
Is it any better? No.
Even on the bottom left, it shows
Okay,
the
all right, there we go.
bars.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is Canada. We only get dial-up in our igloos. So.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
Rajesh, is there somebody?
About,
should we punt this? Sorry, Rajesh.
That does happen. It does happen.
All right, let's see if we could keep it moving. Sorry, Rajesh. We big hugs to you. Who else has a group that hasn't shared out?
So our big one was the Scrum Master either not being trained or thinking that they have to, or they're being forced to put on more hats than they should, be it as additionally as like a project manager, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So, it basically for that, it just kind of comes down to proper training, not necessarily just for the Scrum Master, but for, those that have appointed that person and recognizing, you know, what a Scrum Master needs to be able to do.
Yeah, it's one of those roles, like it's like companies want to cut it because they think it's a fluff role, but I speak from experience, it's an important role on the team. So yeah, I echo that. Anybody else want to share out before we wrap up? Awesome. Okay. Well, I do want to be cognizant of your time. So if you need to drop, feel free. If you want to throw out some suggestions, you know, for improvement for next time. For me, I take the event link needs to go in the invite. So saw that issue. I think I'll take the waiting room off to eliminate that back and forth. Anything else? Like throw it out. Time, do you want to do an hour and a half? And like, if you got to jump off at 7, totally fine. We understand.
I will speak up on that one. I do think that there was some great topics, but it felt like we were really pushing. You know, if we are going to do an hour, maybe keep it to one breakout session and then come back and kind of discuss it. I thought it was great. So, you know, I'd rather an hour and a half to kind of finish, and I know people may not be able to make it, but I'm for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I first put the time on the event, I'm like, oh, is this enough time? But, you know, now I'm realizing we need more time to discuss these things. And like I said, if you need to drop at 7, totally cool. We will totally understand, you know, do what you need to do, but let's give the full hour and a half so we can really dig into some of these topics. So that's kind of what I'm feeling. Any other feedback, retro type stuff? Continuous improvement.
I'd like to agree. It's interesting because I recently had a session at work where I had breakout sessions and someone was insisting, don't make them too long. And so I made them, I think they were 15 minutes and I felt they were too short. So maybe making the sessions a little longer, but also as we meet more frequently, we'll be more comfortable with each other. So we'll be able to get into things quicker as well. So there's a balance that has to be struck there.
Yeah, agreed. I remember Patty had sent me a message, hey, do you have any questions or anything? I'm like, this is all brand new to me. So, you know, my experience with Agile is I just came out of a 14-week coding bootcamp and we had to do, we did our stand-ups for our final capstone project and everything. So that's the gist of my experience with this. So, you know, I jumped on this because I was like, oh, this is going to be an opportunity for me to kind of get the feel from people who are more experienced.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, came in totally not knowing what to expect. So.
Yep, and that's part of being Agile.
Exactly.
All right. Well, like I said, I will send out, I'm going to clean up the recording a bit. I'll send it out, especially, you know, to the other 25 people that didn't make it. I'll send out the next invite with that. Again, feel free to message me on LinkedIn. Y'all do it anyway. Give me feedback if something's coming up for you, like in the next day or whatever. And then we'll get this thing going in May and keep this party going.
Right. Sounds like a plan.
Awesome.
Thank you very
so
much.
Thank you. All right.
Guys.
Thank you, and nice meeting everyone.
Yes.
You as well. Bye, everyone.